The chairman of Toyota says one EV pollutes as much as three hybrids because higher emissions from making batteries in Japan's fossil fuel heavy grid.
They're finding out, however, that plug-ins hybrids are only being plugged in and utilized as they're supposed to be about 27% of the time. The rest of the time, they're running off their internal combustion engine.
So people just aren't charging them?
In West Virginia, where coal dominates, the Model Y emitted less CO2 per mile, 149 grams versus 177 grams. That's versus a Prius plug-in hybrid. Hi, I'm David with EV World News, and I'm back in the studio today with our founder and chief editor, Bill Moore, and our resident engineer, Mike Herszock. The chairman of Toyota, that Mr. Toyota?
Toyota, yeah, Mr. Akio Toyoda.
Yeah, he says the EVs pollute more than hybrids. Yeah, and he's claiming that, and he argues that one EV pollutes as much as three hybrids because higher emissions from making batteries in Japan's fossil fuel heavy grid.
Oh, okay.
I'm assuming they're relying heavily on coal being imported from what, Indonesia or something? Did they have that many coal deposits?
I can see some of that, I guess. But it's also, you take it with a grain of salt just because Toyota's so highly leveraged in the hybrid.
Yes, exactly.
That is their bread and butter right now. So if I'm the chairman, it turns out, hey guys, my product's actually a lot better than everybody else's.
Yeah. And here's the other thing we could probably touch on too, is that they're finding that plug-in hybrids, which have as long as you plug them in and use them in that, likely they're going to be great. They're finding out, however, that plug-ins hybrids are only being plugged in and utilized as they're supposed to be about 27% of the time.
Really?
The rest of the time, they're running off their internal combustion engine.
So people just aren't charging them?
They aren't charging them.
Yeah, they're forgetting to plug them in.
That's funny. I mean, that's why you got a plug-in hybrid for that reason.
Yeah, exactly. That's why you would get the vehicle. And all you need, because I've had a plug-in hybrid, and all you do, you just plug it into a 110 outlet, and since most people's cars sit 10 to 12 hours a day. Okay? Sit in the garage, sit out on the driveway, sit out on getting on power to the street would be probably a problem. But plenty of time for, even at a, 110 volt, 60 amp, kind of a circuit, you can get pretty much most of the charging you need, because most cars are driven roughly about 40 miles a day anyway, as an average. And that's enough time over 12 hours, even at level 1, to put most of that charge back in the vehicle.
Yeah, well, so according to the Argonne National Labs here in the United States, most EVs in the U.S. break even on emissions at about 19,500 miles. So that's similar. I mean, the UK model shows a similar amount. Let me see. In the West Virginia, where coal dominates, the Model Y emitted less CO2 per mile, 149 grams versus 177 grams. That's versus a Prius plug-in hybrid. So most of the United States isn't coal dominant. You got a couple states that are. I mean, even Nebraska's coal dominant, right? But it's like, what is it? Like 40% of Nebraska power or something like that. Yeah. But in places probably like Pennsylvania, West Virginia, where you have that kind of play.
And I've lived in both of them. 2.5 years in West Virginia and 2.5 years in Pennsylvania and 5.5 years in West Virginia, in the middle of the coal fields. So I'm quite familiar with it. Thank you.
Well, it says in California with a cleaner grid, it's only 80 grams of CO2 per mile for a Model Y versus 130 for the Prius. Yeah, it's half of what it is in West Virginia. Yeah, so the coal does definitely make a difference, but in theory, it's still operating more efficiently, right? Burning coal through the power plant than it would be running gas through your car. It's interesting that somebody like that is, putting that kind of misinformation out. But I don't know. It's certainly not. It's possible it could be more in some situations with their coal situation, but it's still unlikely. And it's certainly not 3x.
No, and I'm sure they can find the same example of heavy coal plant or heavy coal region in this specific area, this specific parking lot. It is three times more.
The clip you just saw was part of our live podcast. If you enjoyed it, don't miss out. Join us every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday right here on EV World News. We stream not just on YouTube, but also on Facebook and X, so you can catch us wherever you prefer. If you found this content valuable, don't forget to like, subscribe, and to share to help us grow. If you'd like to support our work, please consider becoming a YouTube member. It really helps us bring you the latest EV news and insights. I'll see you in the next one.